So after 13 years, finally, Avatar: The Way of the Water is finally here. And just so you all know, I will be dropping spoilers, so if you have not seen the movie or you just don't want to be spoiled, turn back now. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to say that the movie is slightly disappointing. I didn't really have high expectations going into the film, but it was still slightly disappointing, but I'll get to that afterwards. James Cameron does it again, and honestly, you can hand him the Oscar for Best Visual Effects right now because Avatar really stokes the imagination. This world with stunning visual effects and a world you can completely immerse yourself in and be captivated by, like every little detail that he put into it. Like, I don't know everybody's name that went into this project, like the people who worked on the visual effects, but I mean, you gotta give him credit because this movie is beautiful. A lot of people don't know, but James Cameron is an explorer. He's been down to the battleship Bismarck, I believe. I'm not entirely sure if he saw Titanic, like the actual Titanic, even though he made the film, but he did have a solo descent to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, and I believe he said somewhere, I'm not sure if it was his words or if it was somebody saying it, but that he did that partly to do research for this film, because down there at the bottom of the ocean, it's a completely alien world. Like, it's completely separated from ours, and the life down there does not look like anything up here. It looks literally out of this world. So I believe he did research for this film by going down there and other parts of the ocean, and I believe it because when you look at the film, a lot of it feels like it's inspired by ancient creatures, and a lot of it looks like it's something that you would find at the bottom of the ocean. So I mean, the amount of research and work he put into this, like, you gotta give this man his credit because he just made probably the most beautiful film ever. I mean, in my personal opinion, Avatar: The Way of the Water is the most beautiful film I have ever seen. And that's about all the praise I have for this film, because once you look past the visual effects, the stunning, the beautiful visual effects, and the immersive world created by James Cameron, after you see past all of that, the movie is shit. I read a comment somewhere criticizing this film, and I laughed because it was so true, and I was thinking the exact same thing while watching this film, though not in those exact words, but they said that the movie feels like a video for the latest graphics card, and it's so true because it literally feels like they're just showing off this world for the sake of doing it. The characters and the story lacked any real depth. At times it felt like there was no story, and at times it felt like they took a break from telling any semblance of a story just for the sake of showing off their amazing, like, stunning visual effects. And again, I love that. Like, it's the most beautiful film I've ever seen, but you can only do that so much. I've already seen the first Avatar and had my mind blown by the world that James Cameron created. So when I watched this film, yes, that was my one expectation, and it was met. But because the runtime was so long, they had nothing else to fill that void except more visual effects, no story. So I started paying a lot more attention, unintentionally, to the story because there really was none. At least in the first film, it felt like there was. It wasn't great, but it was there. Here, it felt like they just kept taking a break to show you the ocean. It really felt like I was just watching the first film, but with less story and more visual effects. There just simply was not enough to keep me engaged. Now, I know a lot of people will be engaged by this world, by the ocean and all its creatures and all the details that the filmmakers put into it, and that's fine, but for me, the film just was not engaging enough. And it also feels like there's way too many characters, too many kids, and at times I can't even tell who the primary protagonist of the film is. I thought it would be Jake because he was in the first film, and at times it felt like it in this film, but then it feels like Kiri, and then it feels like his son, and then there are subplots that just don't really feel like they go anywhere, and they don't really have a purpose in the film. The film consistently kept indicating that Kiri has some special spiritual connection to Awa. She's just different from everybody else, but it doesn't really feel like it goes anywhere. I mean, you can clearly see in some ways she is most definitely different from everybody else in her family or any of the other Na'vi, but it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't serve the plot in any way. It's just there. Then you have Spider, who was not needed in this film because he wasn't in the first film, and he doesn't really add anything to this film either. But they had the whole subplot between him and Quaritch, who's his father, and he returns in this film as a clone of Quaritch in an avatar body with all of Quaritch's memories and whatnot. But they have a story arc between them to where they're kind of father and son bonding, kind of, but you know where the film is headed, and it would have headed there with or without Spider, so that was completely wasted. I guess they included him to just have a child that just happened to be human, because all the other children in this film were Na'vi. So maybe they did it for diversity, I don't know, but he was a wasted character. He did not need to be in this film. And then there are Jake's sons, and it feels like it shifts between both of them, because at first it feels like there's some subplot between Jake and his eldest son, who wants to be a great warrior like him, but doesn't know how to quite follow orders. But it feels like there's going to be something going on with him, but then out of nowhere it feels like it's all about the youngest son, and he's the main character of the film, and that's where I'm like, who the fuck is the main character of this film? And then I think there's a love or supposed love interest, it's hinted at in the film, between Jake's youngest son and I don't even know her name, like one of the Na'vi from the Ocean Clan, but that doesn't really go anywhere either. And then you have the humans, the Sky People, and their reason for coming back to Pandora, which is the world is dying. Such a cliche reason for going to a foreign world, but whatever. They're there for that reason, and you would think it would be about diplomatic reparations between them and the Na'vi. But that's all pretty much forgotten about, and instead feels like a revenge kick for Quaritch. And then you have the Omaticaya people, which were the Na'vi from the first film, and Jake and his family flee to the Ocean Clans and abandon the Omaticaya people because he feels that he's keeping them in danger by being there because Quaritch is hunting him. But with everything they went together, you would think that they would all be a unit, they would all be family, or at least considered like family, and he would just convince them that wherever they all are, that is home. And they could have done something like that, but instead he promotes somebody else and then just leaves. You never hear from the Omaticaya people again in the entire film, and it's like, it feels as if they rendered the first film and everything that they went through meaningless. So I don't know what they were going for and what they were trying to achieve, if they're just gonna focus on the Ocean Clans from now on, but in my personal opinion, that was incredibly stupid. Oh yeah, and they also had like a 20 or 30 minute part of the movie where they just hunt whales to piss off the Na'vi. They could have cut that out or made it shorter, or just shown a dead whale or something to kind of make the point that they're hunting whales. I think that was a complete waste of time, but the movie was just too long, and things like that were just not needed in this film. I guess you could call this a rant, even though it wasn't really meant to be, because my expectations, again, were not high. All I expected from this film was some semblance of a story and a beautiful world, which James Cameron delivered. But the lack of story was so noticeable because the runtime is so long. There just wasn't enough to keep you engaged. Although the fight scene between Jake and Colonel Quaritch, that was pretty cool, that they were kind of fighting on a sinking ship. Like, that was very, very cool. Though I don't know what happened to like that Ocean Clan that was there. They were ready to fight, but then they kind of just vanished and disappeared. So that was weird. But the fight scene between Jake and Quaritch was pretty cool. And even though it was predictable, I didn't like the way it ended. It was still kind of cool how they were fighting on the ship and you had things falling all over the place. The ship was sinking, and then they ended up finishing the fight underwater because they had nowhere else to go, and they would probably most likely die either way, but it was just a matter of who's gonna win the fight, who's gonna kill who. But unfortunately, and as predicted, Quaritch lives again and will likely return as the main villain in the third film, instead of coming up with some original creative idea, like maybe like a rogue Na'vi clan or something, like some clan that nobody gets along with. I don't know, something unique, or maybe a new villain that's human, something, besides just having the same guy do the same thing over and over. But yeah, if your desire is to immerse yourself in the oceanic world of Pandora, you will not be disappointed. But if you want more than just stunning visual effects, you are not gonna like this film. In my personal opinion, I needed more than that. There just wasn't enough story to keep me engaged for a 3-hour plus film. It honestly should have been much shorter, maybe 2.5 hours, or at the very least the same runtime as the first Avatar. But let me know how you feel in the comment section if you have watched the film and if you agree with me in believing that this film just lacked depth and felt empty, or if you disagree and you love the film. Either way, or if you haven't watched the film, what were you expecting to see? Let me know down in the comment section. Please hit that like button. It does help me so much to push my content out there. Subscribe if you are not subscribed already, and I will catch you in the next video. See you then. Bye bye.